Skip the intro if you need to.
Hello and welcome to the Iron Mountain Hour. If you just joined us, we got kicked off of our stream, but we're joined by Lemichael Wilson. He is running for governor of Tennessee as a libertarian, and he was just explaining to us how the libertarians don't believe in primaries or don't use primary systems to find out who's going to run. Can you tell us a little bit more about that, please? All right, sir, we are...
You're good.
All right. We're here with Lemichael Wilson. He's on his way to pick his son up from work, but he was still gracious enough to join us on the Skype call to interview tonight. He is and he has been dropped. We're just having all kinds of technical difficulties tonight. Hopefully, Mr. Wilson will rejoin us. He was kind enough to hit us up and talk to us, even though he had something going on kind of last minute with his family. Family man, you can appreciate that. But his call dropped out. We had trouble from YouTube tonight, dropped our first stream. So we want to thank you for joining us if you're here. And if you are seeing this later, you can comment on the video. But if you're here now, get in the live chat, subscribe, share this around to your friends, anybody you think it might be interested in this kind of stuff. We are talking a little bit more political stuff tonight, but that's not normally what we do. But with the gubernatorial race coming up, and somebody like Lemichael that I saw, connected with him on Twitter and liked some of the things he had to say. So I thought I'd see if he wanted to be on the show, and he did. He was gracious enough to join us, and we tried to have him on. We'll try him back here again in just a second.
Yeah, give him a second. Oh, yeah. You're doing that. Tell me about him. This is the first time hearing about Lemichael.
I'm going to show you my experience with him. Mostly comes from his Twitter profile, okay. Which I checked him out. He was on. He was definitely pro cannabis legalization in Tennessee, and he did a big thing on 420. I'm going to pull him up right here and let y'all check out his profile. I'll put it up where Wilson for Tennessee governor.
Who's he running against?
Well, he's running, I don't even know who. I guess I'm assuming that Bill Lee is still going to be running. I'm not sure if anybody's running against Bill Lee. He's been pretty popular so far, that's among Republicans anyway. So
that's a new thing. I guess I didn't know that about, because I guess I'm not super politically active as far as the individual parties go. I didn't know that about... I didn't know about libertarians, that they don't believe in primaries.
Yeah, apparently not. Apparently they, and it makes sense that if you want to run with the Libertarian Party name attached to you, then you are able to do that.
So what do they do? Like whenever it comes time for the main election, they just all get behind one person instead of, how do they decide which person they're going to support?
That's a good question.
That's the whole point of a primary,
Yeah, I don't know how they decide who the party's going to run.
Sure.
I guess it's just whoever's, I guess anybody can run it, and if they get popular in the party, then well, that's
maybe whoever's making the most noise at that point in time, I suppose.
Yeah. We'll try to reconnect here momentarily. At Wilson, his Twitter handle is at Wilson for Tennessee for TN governor. I'm gonna pull up his handle up here.
Tennessee Libertarian.
I don't know who it was. Let's pull up his profile here. We got here now in the race for governor. Oh, I hope people are catching this.
There.
Are they getting the audio?
Let us see.
I don't think they're getting the audio.
They are not.
Okay. So, got to do all this stuff each time, or we'll have echoes, and we'll have. It'd be nice to have a production crew, wouldn't it?
Work consistently.
Yeah. All right, let's try that again. This is the video that Mr. Wilson posted when he said we are officially in the race for governor.
Over the last years, Democrats and Republicans in Tennessee.
We got an echo.
Mr. Wilson posted when he said,
what a night for the gremlins and the technology, man. I'll tell you what.
Mr. Wilson posted.
I'll just show you his page instead of playing the thing for you. But
show me that page.
Yeah, here we go.
Playing that thing.
Yeah, here we go. This campaign is geared up to push back and fight against the political privilege of the Republican Democrat parties that enact legislation to manipulate elections legally. Donating the campaign supports our fight to gain ballot access on November 8th ballot and associated legal costs. So let's get down to here to where he was talking. He was talking some 420 stuff the day we were doing the 420 show. Got a bunch of stuff on here about him shouting out to people on the campaign trail and all this stuff. I'm having... well,
So he's going after Billy's spot.
yeah.
I wonder who the Democrat person running against Billy would be this time.
Well, let's check out the Democrat primary for Tennessee.
Tennessee's to be, I guess, such a quote unquote red state. We've had Democrat candidates.
Yeah, we had Ned McWhorter. We had, recently we had Don Sun. Or no, wait a minute. Don Suncoast was Republican.
Bredesen.
Yeah, Bredesen. That's who I was thinking of. Yeah. So Tennessee has been,
especially when you start going out further west too. Like Memphis is more.
Nashville is even. I mean, the state overall is, fairly strongly red. I mean, it's like a good 10 points, even counting the big, the urban centers of Nashville and Memphis, which typically. And Nashville's kind of right down the middle, I think. But let's see.
Pretty split as
So it looks like Basil Marceau ran for governor, is running for governor as an independent.
Basil.
So that's pretty interesting.
2 butlers ran back to back.
What's that?
It's that Basil Marceau and Alfred O'Neill.
Oh, Basil and Atzel. Okay, I got you.
Butler names. Constance Every seems like a very, very well organized journalist.
Constance
No,
Every.
that's like
that can't be a real name, can it?
Constance?
Constance Every.
Well, the last name kind of messes with it.
When you put both those together, it sounds like they made it up.
Constance Every.
Let's see if we can get.
Name for common.
Let's pull up a couple news stories here while we're waiting to try Lemichael Wilson again. You can't say he didn't join us. He did give He did give us.
No.
That's
Hey,
right.
hold on a second. And then his end said no.
Yeah, so we had lots of trouble. They had a
5 arrested.
a TBI sex trafficking sting in Knoxville. They arrested 5 people, and all these guys apparently got out on $25,000 bond.
So what was the thing though?
Well, it says that they did an undercover operation which led to the arrest of 5 men seeking illicit sex from minors. And I guess they don't really tell you exactly what it is other than that they place decoy advertisements and
I just went on like Grindr or Whisper, just like the people on YouTube do.
Well, I have to wonder how they got they charged with the trafficking and stuff like that, because I don't know, you want to get these guys, you want to get these perverts, but you want to get them with something that's going to stick.
Is it possession of methamphetamine?
See, I mean, that's what I don't get. Kind of like,
Okay,
you got
one count trafficking for commercial. So they're trying to say they're into sex trafficking. That's a different account than just solicitation of a minor.
I think so too, and though they should definitely be punished for that. I would just like to see them charged with the right thing so that they could be put away for it.
The only time, and in case anybody wants,
maybe it's some legal thing about.
Well, no, there's a lot of different. I know way too much about this stuff because the To Catch a Predator community is probably one of the strongest online communities that's been there for a really long time. And anytime they enter, when it becomes, When it becomes trafficking, is when you intend to
take them somewhere else.
No, pimp them out essentially.
Oh.
Like sometimes they'll try to get these girls to like trick themselves out to make.
Gotcha.
So what they do in the decoys, they specifically put the text messages to imply a certain crime.
Okay.
And get them for a harsher one because
So they weren't just trying to get him for a John, they were trying to get him.
Unless these idiots, I mean, they don't look like it to me, but unless these guys are legitimately into sex trafficking, they probably worded it funny.
Yeah, they probably, okay, so they probably did it in such a way to, that they wanted to not just meet these minors for sex, but they wanted to meet them in order to pimp them out and make money off of them.
If you offer to, you can move in with me.
Okay.
Or if there's grooming language in the thing that suggests that maybe there's some exploitation going on, it's a different charge.
Well, I'm glad they got him with something, but man, it sucks that that's like $25,000 bond. I mean, because if they were part of something organized, well, I mean, if they were part of something organized, it only takes 10% of that to actually get out. So
yeah,
I mean,
I think that whole situation's about to get out of control as far as self-monitoring pedos and stuff like that, because I found a page today. It's really, really new. I only found it because of because of Dads Against Predators. I'm a psychology major. I'm sorry, I'm unhealthily attracted to abnormal psych videos. And I found a predator catcher today who probably won't make it very long. And what I mean by that is his way of dealing with the predator was to walk up, immediately stab the guy's tire to flatten it, and then come, because he was like, I just wanted to see if this guy would leave with a flat tire.
that son of a bitch
It
ain't
was like,
running away.
because the option was for us to call the cops and show him text messages with you as the minor, and then I'll take the charge for flattening your tire.
Oh,
or
okay,
you can
yeah.
leave with a flat tire.
Well, I guess when he weighed the options, then yeah, but
but
you're
how
right.
long before
Somebody's liable to shoot him or
That's what I'm
something.
saying. It's not going to be long before somebody's is going to try that doesn't have the same amount of intimidation as this guy has.
Yeah, it's like you were talking about. I mean, all those guys are doing good work. They better be careful because they may be biting off more than they can chew in
That's the
some
whole
cases.
point. We're going to see someone get hurt live on YouTube at some point in time, and not just like a predator getting beat up. We're going to see somebody get assaulted with a knife or something. Mm-hmm. Because you're messing with desperately crazy.
Oh yeah, and when you put them when they're already crazy, and then you make them desperate,
and you humiliate them online.
Exactly.
Like how long before you poke the belly of a Chris Chan or something, they flip out and try to dimensional merge with you.
Yeah, it's not even like it was, when On To Catch a Predator came out, because I mean back then, like you were on television and that your life was over, but it's rising to that point again. To where there's enough people out there that are making these YouTube videos that are really popular, to where even though like 5-6 million people may not see you on Dateline NBC like they used to on the first night and then never see you again, these videos are up on YouTube in perpetuity. So
and you can share them. You can share Dateline
exactly.
NBC. You have to trade it like old school anime or something, but like you can share a video of, and think about this too, like on Dateline, you had like a month or so before those things aired. You get your stuff together and get out of Dodge if you need to. These things air like the week after they do them, and sometimes they're live catches too. And I just wonder, I'm not saying fellas don't stop doing it. I'm saying y'all probably need to start wearing some Teflon or something.
Start being arming yourself.
I think you're highly underestimating the people that you're messing with is all.
Yeah, we do, because you do put them in a desperate situation, and then they should be desperate, but you just want to be aware of what you're dealing with, folks. If you're out there making these videos, catching these people, just be ready for whatever may happen, because I mean I feel like you're doing a service to the community, but as Tim said, when people get desperate, they're going to do desperate things, and that could include harming you to try to protect themselves. So some of the stories we were going to talk about tonight. This is a Washington Examiner piece that says that gun sales kept rising in 2021 amongst minorities. And we talked about how in 2020, when all that money went out to people from the stimulus for whatever, the Trumpulus or whatever the hell you want to call it, where they basically just that's actually, I just now coined that. I hadn't called it that before. But whenever that came out and everybody started getting their $2,400, $3,400, whatever it was, a lot of people went out and bought their first firearms, and that was also including across the board, whatever demographic you want to talk about. I mean, I don't know why they always break it down into these different Hispanics and blacks and Asian Americans sells gun open, but
Conquer, that's why.
Yeah, I think it is, but I think I do it to demonstrate that even though they're point singling people out and saying, hey, these people are different, but they bought guns. Like I'm saying, they're buying guns just like everybody else. We're all Americans. Are.
Did you see this last paragraph down here?
Yes, let's see it. Let's check this out here.
That was the one that stuck out to me.
Okay. Well, let's check it out. In the 2016 presidential election, there was no clear indicator of preference than gun ownership. Voters in households with guns supported Donald Trump in every state except Vermont. Voters in households without guns backed Hillary Clinton in every state but West Virginia and Wyoming. Gun ownership saw a bigger partisan divide than race, religion, or union membership. So Democrats have you've mentioned before that I think it was you that told me this, that you think Democrats make money off the gun lobby because everybody knows when a Democrat comes into office that people are going to go run out and buy new guns and
They're coming after your guns.
yeah. So
That's just a theory. I mean, you'd have to go into their portfolios and find out.
right. Well, I don't think you were necessarily.
Like DARPA and Lockheed Martin. But I mean, doesn't it make sense? Like, if we're going to use Noam Chomsky's own theory, stuff like that, like whatever they're preaching for, like whatever their fear mongering is usually what they're making money off of.
Well, we do know. I mean, they own stock in, like you said, Lockheed Martin, and Bath Iron Works or General Dynamics or
I
whoever.
would like to report a milestone. The glass ceiling has been shattered. Did you know that every weapons manufacturing on the planet as of 6 months ago has a woman CEO?
Wow! Yay, modernity!
We're equal.
You can get bombed into the Stone Age by someone's mother. But yeah, I think you do make a good point that the people voting on these they're supposed to be the ones voting on the wars. It's generally an executive action over the last 20 years or so, rather than actually having Congress vote on to declare war on anyone. We've had executive fiat, precision strikes. We've had, look at the 7 different places we were bombing during the Obama administration and much of the Trump administration.
Ran out of bombs with Obama. He got a Nobel Peace Prize like 3 weeks into his presidency, and then he ran out of bombs. They ran out of bombs, and he has a Nobel Peace Prize. Why isn't that going to take it back?
What did I hear? I heard there was like a manufacturer that's like of some kind of important equipment for our military that wasn't able to produce it for us because they were producing it for somebody else. I can't remember what it was, man. I hate that I brought it up now because it's not, maybe it'll pop into my head here in just a minute, but it didn't sound like a very good thing.
They're trying to make it to where everything's made here again, and that's what you're going to get.
Well,
But one of the issues is you got people hiring on every corner.
yeah, you do.
And there's not somebody to fill the jobs. So, I mean, what's going to happen to get people into the workforce to make bombs? Last time they drafted the whole, like, all the men are going to war, women need to come build our bombs, but all the women are in the workforce.
Yeah. Well,
They're going to get to build the bombs this time.
Well, I guess the women are the more college educated now, and I think filling in as far as millennial women have more college educations than their male counterparts, and they are in more jobs requiring degrees than their male counterparts.
But I thought there was a wage gap.
Well,
CEOs make less than I do?
how
Is
about
that how that
that?
works? The CEO of DARPA makes the same as, like, the manager at Walmart down here? Because she's a woman? I'm just saying stupid stuff that you think people...
No, I know. Yeah, I get you.
I bet because she's a woman, as the CEO of DARPA, a company that kills people, I bet she doesn't have the sand to really push for a higher wage. That's bullshit. She makes bank.
Can you imagine the stones that the woman who runs DARPA must have, if there is a woman? I mean,
Yeah,
I don't know. No, maybe not. But yeah, there is that always in Congress of their having insider trading, or they're not technically insider trading, but they have knowledge on stuff, and it's basically, it doesn't matter. It's legal. If they know they're going to vote on something that's say we're going to go to war, let's say they know that, well, there's nothing stopping them from going ahead and buying up General Dynamics or Raytheon or wherever. Mm-hmm. And
what about the theory that they start things because of what they own? Like, nobody thought it was a conflict of interest that we're going to war with oil companies, and the person that was in charge of the country at the time was an oil tycoon, Bush. Like, nobody thought, we're going to war, and just so happens Dick Cheney has massive amounts of things, and like all these war companies.
Luckily for them, the American media gave them total, basically carte blanche, because they covered what they said, not what was actually happening. So it was a war over oil in Iraq. I mean, that's why Iraq went into Kuwait, but the American media made it out that Saddam just hated Kuwaitis and wanted to kill babies,
Just
and so
people.
he was
I guess what I was getting at is, like, the point that we were at earlier is here we have Bush, an oil man, getting involved in oil wars with a vice president who wants to go into war because he is like owns all these current companies like Halliburton or it's invested in them, And then it just so happens that like Gore and the Obamas and all these get in. Just like okay, we'll skip all that. We'll skip the long part and go straight to now. We're having issues in a country named Ukraine, and before Biden was even in office, everybody was saying, "Hey, he's got a lot of dirty money in Ukraine, and his kids kind of been over there boinking children."
Yeah, and when they started
in Ukraine,
yeah, and when that came out, they impeached Trump. It's like
it's just such insanity that like. Oil war and the guy is in oil. Now you just look it back every single time we have something really crazy going on. It just so happens the person in charge is going to make a lot of money because of it. And now we're in Ukraine, and we've been talking about Biden being in Ukraine since Trump's second term. They've been talking about Biden being in Ukraine, or second year of office rather. So I'm just saying, if you pay attention to who makes money, you can pretty much figure out why we're doing what.
Well, it came out recently. The Daily Mail came out with a story within the last couple days that I think it actually might have been this morning. It's just these news cycles move so quickly, it's hard to exactly remember when you saw these things. But the sorry, I'm trying to find my story here. But the Daily Mail reported that Joe Biden had $5.2 million in unreported income this morning, and then there's also come out that he and Hunter Biden had shared a bank account while Hunter Biden is over, making deals with Burisma Energy Company over in China,
his vice presidency,
which to quote Hunter Biden, the fucking Chinese spy master. And meanwhile, they're kicking 10% back to the big guy and all this stuff, and it's illegal to talk about that. Well, not illegal, but they won't let you talk about it on Twitter. They pull you off of Facebook for talking about it. They pull you off of YouTube for talking about it. So you can talk about it in your personal life, but if you actually try to spread it into the larger conversation, then you'll be shut down and your channel will be banned. Now, that's gotten a little bit better. And our channel, we've really been able to get away with a lot, I think, because we haven't monetized the channel. We got where they were showing us that where we were like almost eligible for monetization. I was talking to Tim. We were like, no, I don't want to monetize it because that puts us on their radar. Right now, we're not on the radar. We can pretty much say whatever we want to. And if we decide, that this is something that we want to do, to make some money off of, then we'll actually want to give you a content, not just get advertising.
Not give you ads for
exactly, or raid fucking Shadow Legends, or
if we get raid Shadow Legends, man, I'm taking the deal because I'm convinced that that's like the end to the internet Illuminati. They've sponsored you almost can't find a company like a YouTuber that has not been sponsored by that game.
Yeah,
that's why there's so many people that are like, what's going on with this thing?
I've never met anybody that played it more than like 5 minutes.
I've never met anybody that's ever played it. I've never met someone who owns a pair of Raycons, but I'm probably going to order some soon. If I buy a pair of Raycons, I'll stop getting asked for them.
Are those the earbuds?
Ray J.
Yeah.
Which was what's his face's
Brandy's sister.
Brother.
Brandy's brother. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see here. We got this from WSET. This is WCYB. Digital. And we're looking at firearms instructors seeing increase in women taking concealed carry classes. Bristol, Tennessee, local firearms instructor said more women and first-time handgun owners are signing up for concealed carry classes. Now, I've had a lot of the business I work in. I've run into a lot of people in real estate, a lot of people who are in and out of house, a lot of women who end up going places by themselves to, show something or unlock doors or whatever. And I've had conversations with them about protecting themselves, and I've had a lot of them that they're like, I don't really know how to start, but I want to get started. And I'm kind of like, well, we're just acquaintances. I don't really have time to teach you or show you or anything like that. You're going to need to take a class. It's going to be something that's going to be, you're really going to have to go into this. It's something you can't just half-ass do. Unfortunately
for that, though, the gun community is it's very active on people I'm not very active in guns at all, and anytime I've been around people shooting or being with guns and stuff, almost everyone will take the time to show you how to do something.
Right.
Because number one, you have a thing that can kill And number two, everybody's like, well, I didn't know what I was doing because somebody showed me. So
Yeah.
it's like it's a nice little system of traded learn.
Yeah.
I don't traded.
Everybody has to learn from somebody, but it is good to see. I mean, because a firearm's the ultimate equalizer. If you are a 90-pound female and you get attacked by a 300-pound man, you know, if you have a 357 Magnum, then you know you're going to be at the advantage. Yeah, even I mean a 22 is going to put you at an advantage over him. I mean, you obviously want to have good training and carry a good self-defense load and make sure that you know what you're actually carrying and understand how it's going to work if you have to use it in a self-defense situation. But yeah, I mean, just having a gun, period, puts you at an advantage over an attacker who doesn't have a gun. So it only makes sense that we would want women to arm themselves because, I mean, being generally speaking, less physically imposing than men, you would want to have that, equalizer. So I'm glad that they do. Chet Emery, a retired Bristol police officer and head instructor of Bristol firearms training. And, well, we missed the read more thing. I mean, why do they always make us click read more? We want to read more. Do most people just not click to read more?
I don't know why professional websites are built so poorly.
I mean,
like, they all are. Like, this is ABC 13 News, and I could build this myself, and I don't know dick about building sites.
you could put the ads over here on the side for one. And I don't know. I don't get the whole read more thing. Why they always do that on news sites?
I don't have anything. I really do get all tweaky when I see a company, and I'm like, my website looks better than yours. It should. I'm a dude that, you know what I'm saying?
Well, I'm glad it does. That's a good way.
That's ridiculous.
That's a good walk around for that humble brag there too.
But you know what I'm saying?
No, I do.
I'm just
Yeah,
saying,
you're
when
right.
it comes time for the Iron Mountain Hour to have a website,
It'll be better than this.
it's gonna look better than this.
Yeah.
A whole lot better.
Yeah.
And there's no excuse for that.
Well, Chet says he's seeing an increase in female shooters, and it's both because they're wanting a sense of security for themselves and they're wanting the knowledge of firearms training so they feel better about having the firearm in the house and on their person. So,
Classes are $80.
yeah, you go ahead and got you a link there to sign up if you want to. I can go ahead and link that for you in the description, or you can just look it up. Just look up a handgun training class near you. Or better yet, ask somebody that you know who's into firearms if they know where you can take one. Yeah, or go shooting. Yeah, that's another thing too.
Very social event, apparently.
Yeah.
So I guess that would be kind of creepy if you're just you're by yourself shooting. Like for hours at a time, just practice by yourself. People start to wonder what you're up to. Is he practicing? What's he doing?
Well, that's the way you should do it to get really proficient at it. But who has the time? It's hard to make time to go do it, man. I want to go shoot every weekend, and I usually get only out
Rich
like
boy.
once or twice a month.
Does that ammo come down? The price?
It's down since the pandemic. I mean,
$1 a bullet. What's it down to now?
well, it just depends on what you're shooting. If you're shooting an AR, you're looking at about 60 cents around for most of the ammo that you find.
The 9's the only thing I've got.
If you shoot 9mm, you can do that pretty good for about 30 to 35 cents a round. It's down pretty low. If you go down to Supply Munitions, where we talked about, they've moved over to Kingsport, but they've got 9mm for about $15-16 a box for 50 rounds. So
How about shotgun shells?
now shotgun shells, they depends on what kind you get. If you get target loads, you can get those for, I don't know, 30 sits around. Duck rounds for about that.
There was a commercial I saw a long time ago online, and it was a woman, speaking of the devil, talking about women shooting target practice stuff. There was a woman walking through a parking garage and had like a creepy narrator voice, blah, 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 something creepy.
Better be ready
She has
if they
purses,
come to
clack,
get you.
clack, 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 click, clack, purses in the parking garage, click, clack, click, clack. And all of a sudden, menacing dude who somehow made it through the whole parking lot with like a ski mask and a crowbar and stuff with nobody attacking him. And all of a sudden she pulls out this big ass hairy, like dirty hairy looking gun.
Yeah.
It's called the Judge, and she goes,
Oh yeah.
man trying to take over your night, I'll be the judge of that. And I always, it's a pistol that shoots shotgun shells.
The Taurus judge, yeah.
She'd shoot it and it'd probably like make her do a backflip. She'd land back.
Well, those things are surprisingly easy to handle because they're so heavy, and it shoots a 410 shell, which is a pretty formidable round. To get up close, you wouldn't want to. But as far as kickback, it's not a lot compared to a 12 gauge.
What was I shot in your the gun day video? The one
That was the 12 gauge.
That's a 12. Okay.
Yeah.
See, that's what I'm assuming, that if a pistol firing shotgun shells does that, I mean, it would flip me. That's why I'm assuming it would flip the woman in the commercial.
Yeah, it'll shoot a 45 long Colt, or I think it's 45 long Colt. Might just be regular 45.
Judge.
But yeah, 45 Colt, 410 shotgun, and you can see pull that up there for the
Shorter
people.
than I would expect it to be.
Yeah.
Is there a reason for that?
I guess so you can conceal it somewhat, but that's a pretty huge gun, even still. The Judge Public Defender, they call that one. Look, there's a little bit longer barrel there. I've seen the longer. There's one.
That's what it was in the commercial.
Yeah.
Big ass thing there, the Dirty Harry looks.
6.5 inch. Yeah, that's a beast. I bet that thing gets some velocity. They used to make one. I wonder if the Thunder 5. I think it was made here in Piney Flats.
It was made in Piney
I
Flats?
think so. The Thunder 5.
Where was it made in Piney Flats? Gun making place?
Yeah, look
that
there.
thing looks like a 1940s Nazi weapon.
Mill Inc., Piney Flats,
Such a weird
Tennessee.
looking device. I know, not even not. It looks kind of like steampunky.
Yeah.
Like you
It's
take
neat.
a shot
I
and it go.
I don't know if that was a clone of the Judge or if the Judge is a clone of that, but I remember seeing one of those things.
I didn't know there was a place in Piney Flats that built.
Yeah, I don't know where it was exactly, but a friend of mine had one back in the day. The rare Mill Inc. Thunder 5, not the Judge or Governor.
Oh, the Governor.
Yeah, these are just all on Gunbroker.
They need to make a Mexican one and call it El Presidente.
They might do it. There's a lot of these Thunder 5s up for sale on the internet, surprisingly.
There's a wiki site on it.
Yeah, there we go. Before there was the Judge, there was the Thunder 5. It was before the Judge. Yeah, I heard about this way back in the day.
Thunder 5.
Let's see, this is from guns.com. Mill popped up in 1991 in Piney Flats and made one product, the Thunder 5 revolver. Unlike almost every other firearms company in U.S. history, it's hard to dig in just who this company was. Manuals for the Thunder 5 are listed as being distributed by Dragoon Enterprises with a Murfreesboro P.O. box address. But the information in the ATF archives come back to Holston Inc., which is a dead end. Here it says, here at guns.com, we like to tell you the story behind the gun, but it seems this one was written on an Etch-a-Sketch. Well, we'll let you all check it out if you're interested in that. Some of y'all people from our local area who might be interested in the Thunder 5 made by Mill Inc. in Piney Flats. I got one, you were talking about the inflation and the prices going up and stuff like this, and we've got this from the IMF, the International Monetary Fund. It's who basically loans money to the central banks of the world, and it's basically like a clearinghouse for big money trading between banks. And you got the Bank of International Settlements and the International Monetary Fund. In my opinion, this is opinion, they are used to swindle countries out of their resources in exchange for, loan terms. And like, oh yeah, we'll give you this billions of dollars right here, but you just got to pay us this much every year, and then give us your mineral rights as we go. And then
Well, it's the same way they get. China gets people with their roads and their dams.
Yeah.
China does the same thing.
But at least China offers them something of value and builds them
Really, they're all doing the
roads
exact same thing. It's the same thing that the U.S. does, like the what they call the banana republics back in the day. How they build the company up with jobs and essentially take the whole country over and make them use your currency. It's the same thing. Like well, one of the issues with China is they can't actually enforce some of their stuff. Like they gave a bunch of money for this giant highway system.
Yeah, it's the highway that goes nowhere. Yeah,
and it's just not even started.
Yeah.
It's not barely done, and all this money's been sent. And they think most of what happened was the companies that got the money just kind of ducked and run because they were like, "We're not building a road. We don't have to. You're not over. You're not.
You already paid us. You can't make us.
You can't make us build a road. How you gonna find us?"
Well, I didn't mean to say that I thought China was good. I was just saying, at least in this, like, basically they're just trading you money that you spend and then owe for the rest of your life as a nation, and then get rid of all your mineral rights and things like this. So,
yeah, well,
so
and it's like
they don't get a road. They don't even get an attempt at a road.
They'll do a
They just get debt.
That's one of the biggest ones because the U.S. and China both have done it. I'm pretty sure.
The Belt and
China's
Road
doing it
Initiative.
big
If
time
you
right
want to
now,
learn about it.
they'll say, "Hey, we're going to come in and build a dam, and we'll electrify your whole thing,
Yep.
your whole area." And then the country is just never able to pay the dam back, and so they repossess it and then start charging them for their electricity. Like it's just a way for them to get in. No, it's almost like a payday loan.
Yeah.
Like we know you're never going to be able to pay this
Right.
obscene interest rate off. We're just going to get as much money as we can out of you for as long as possible until you wisen up and just file for bankruptcy or whatever.
Perfectly explained. If you ever want to read a book about it, it's called Confessions of an Economic Hitman. Dude went in and basically negotiated these loans to these poor countries in Africa and South America, where it was like basically it enslaved the whole country to international bankers is basically what he did, and his book was trying to get it off his chest. So check that out, Confessions of an Economic Hitman. Well, this is from the International Monetary Fund. They said inflation in the Middle East and North Africa surged to 14.8% in 2021, driven mainly by higher food prices, and we expect it to remain high at 13.9%. And we've got inflation in Caucasus and Central Asia to 10.7%. And they're saying, so this stuff's going around the world, and they're saying that that our inflation over here is only about 9%. But when you read those numbers, they actually use, and they'll say like this is the lowest or the highest it's been since 1970 or whatever it was. But they actually use a different consumer pricing index than they did back then. So if you look at it on that same calculation for the CPI, it actually is worse, by those standards. But not only that, they don't include oil or used car or food prices, I think, is it? Or no, oil, used car, or home prices in that. So it's like those are some of the places that inflation hits first, is in your gas prices and your car prices and your home prices. Yeah,
that's hilarious because home prices are in the Appalachian area for, I can't even tell you what percent up they are. They're up a ridiculous amount compared to what we're used to paying for houses right here.
Let's see, does food count in inflation? Let's see, there's something crazy that doesn't count in it. That should. Food and energy prices are exempt from the core inflation because their prices can be too volatile or fluctuate wildly. So even though they've been
electricity and oil and other things, and not just oil.
Right. So food and energy are exempt from the calculation. So even though those costs for food and energy have steadily been going they might have been going on their upward curve, but they're steadily going up. So we remember, what was it, about a year ago, that the Biden administration and the Treasury Department and the Federal Reserve were saying, well, we're looking at some transitory inflation, but we don't expect it to last. And now we've got pretty much permanent inflation that they're saying that we're going to be having, which means that the cost of goods that we buy every day is going to keep going up, and your wages from your job are going to be basically chasing your prices. So you'll get money, you'll get wages raised, but you're still just going to be getting less than you used to for your money, even with the wages. I mean, I'm making pretty good money right now, but with the costs of everything, it is I'm basically living the same. I'm not being able to really put away any more money than I was before. Let's see, I think it was that average family is going to pay an extra $5,000 in inflation cost. That's the hidden tax that we never really talk about, and it comes from printing money. I was hoping to talk to Mr. Wilson about that tonight, as he's a libertarian. Libertarians often are pretty knowledgeable and on monetary policy, and I'd hope to ask him what he thought about the inflation, and if he thought that we could print our way out of it, or if he thought that we were just screwed, or do we need a contraction, we need interest rates raised, or whatever. But unfortunately, we weren't able to get into that tonight. But I do appreciate him for attempting to join us, and it just wasn't in the cards tonight.
If it's about time and stuff, couldn't you do a pre-recorded one and just play it? You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, that actually...
That's probably convenient for a politician. They're not.
Yeah, that could be. Well, he had the time set aside, and he had something come up, and he still called us, or he still joined the call with us as he went. So I appreciate him for doing that, and that's probably a good idea to try to get a hold of him and see if he wants to go over a couple of these things with us, and record it and get back with us on a different call. So we appreciate Lemichael Wilson. So if you go to Wilson for TN Governor, you can go check him out. I was looking at him on Twitter there. So
I'll check him out.
Yeah.
Microscope. No.
Oh, it says we missed a call here.
Missed a call. He probably tried to call you back.
Probably did.
Oh, dang, Cliff. No.
I didn't hear anything, did you?
No, he didn't do anything.
Missed call from Lemichael.
Time 10:27. It was 10:46.
All right. Well, it's getting pretty late in the episode, so
Yeah.
what do you think?
See if he message him. See if he wants.
Think we want to see if he wants to.
Record it and we can show it on Saturday or the next Wednesday, either one.
Yeah, I think that's what we'll do, because we really don't have time to get into anything now. So unfortunately, the gremlins got to us, but they don't have primaries in the Libertarian Party, so you don't have the deadline of trying to find out about him before you get into the primary.
That's
Like
just crazy. Like,
Republicans and Democrats.
how do they all unify around one person then? Like, what? There's like 3 Libertarian candidates running.
I guess you just pick whichever one you want.
No wonder they can't win. No.
Well, no, I mean, it makes sense that if you can't get your own party together to support one person, which you couldn't. I mean, did you see they nominated this Joe Jorgensen person last year, who is wholly unimpressive and really made some. She ran for president. Yeah, she's Libertarian for president. Spike Cohen ran.
She had the Karen hair, right?
She did, and she was overly supportive of the Black Lives Matter organization, not the movement, but yeah, I think it was. I think that's what really turned her off from libertarians, is the support of the organization, not the idea that Black Lives Matter. But
I think it shouldn't have to be said, but like that is the part that matters.
Yeah,
that your support. It's the organization that people have an issue with. I don't have a problem with the people protesting. I don't have a problem with people wanting to have positive change. I have a problem with the people who say, yeah, give me the money, and then go buy a big mansion and go, no, it's not racism.
Yeah, and not only that, they rile people up not to actually make change, but to profit off of it.
That way.
And then they leave the people who are out there, there's the saying that the riot is the language of the unheard, or something like that, basically. And a lot of times that's used to condone rioting, but I think it just means that sometimes when people don't feel heard, they riot. Doesn't mean that it's condoning that. But
they riot after soccer games.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. But people can be riled up if you give them, especially what feels like a good reason, and you aim to profit off of it, and you can cause a violent situation and cause a media, sensation where it's national news, and you can have people on camera, and you can collect money from it, and you're intentionally doing that. I have a problem with that.
Yeah. That's my same issue with churches, and why I'm so critical of mega churches is a lot of those. I'm not critical of religion per se. I'm critical of any large organization that preys upon vulnerable people to make a profit, and that's what giant charity organizations are guilty of doing. That's what social justice groups are guilty of doing. And I think that's one of the things I think is tragic, is those groups end up fighting each other, and it's the individuals that are fighting. It's not the leaders. The leaders want those individual groups to fight so they can, because if you have something happen, now you can suddenly promote that thing to get money out of people or to build up your group even more. And I can tell the difference between a lot of the grifty ones and the people that are pretty sincere. But I've also been studying abnormal psych part-time for a very long time. And I also like was kind of been around weird like culty situations, you know what I'm saying? So not everybody knows to just go into a situation with the idea of, hey, this person's probably going to try to take advantage of me, you know? But you should.
Yeah, you should, for sure. Or you'll wind up in a bad situation more often than not.
Tim's paranoid, but I'm paranoid for good reasons.
Well, just because you're paranoid doesn't mean they're not out to get you, as the saying goes.
Well, it's like when you find out, like a lot of these charity groups, when you start looking into the thing, they're not non-profit. Most of that non-profit is for their volunteers to receive a paycheck. And like, I think you can go to Profit Watch, or things like Charity Watch, one of those groups, you can find out like the Susan Komen is almost not even a charity when you start comparing it to the amount of money versus like St. Jude and other organizations that do cancer.
How much money does Bono's charity give away? I think I've heard all this money he raises gives like 1%. Yeah.
1% of his funds
Here we go.
to charity. Yeah.
Bono's foundation gives 1% to charity. Bono, the frontman of rock band U2, has come under fire after it was revealed by the New York Post that his anti-poverty foundation, gives only 1% of its funds to charity. You can't make it up, people. Oh, it received $15 million in donation in 2008, but only $190,000 of that figure was donated to good causes. More than 50% was spent on paying salaries and
Promotion.
Yeah.
Upkeep. They run like a businessman.
Yeah, I'm sure they justify it by saying, "Oh well, we wouldn't have been able to donate that $190,000 if we hadn't spent $15 million." You know, it's just, and there may be some truth to that for other charities, but I have a hard time believing that when you spend $15 million and $190,000. I just think about
That's a pretty shocking one there.
think about what I could do with $15 million. I mean, I'm not even like some, good Samaritan or anything, but I would do a lot of good with $15 million.
I wouldn't.
I would.
I don't trust do-gooders.
Well, if I had $15 million, especially to feed people, I mean, I'm not saying because I had $15 million, I'd go out and feed the poor. I'm just saying if my job was to use $15 million to feed people or to help poverty, I feel like I could do a lot with that other than, I mean, I guess he was helping poverty because he was paying the salaries of the people that were working for him.
Making job.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not really what people are expecting.
Yeah, it's not what people are.
You wouldn't buy into Twitter.
Yeah, that's not what people are buying into.
At 15, I'd buy some weird website like 9gag or something. Just
Well,
try to
speaking,
expose the secrets of the meme lords.
no,
How much do you think 4chan's worth?
I don't know, a couple $100,000. No. No, I don't know. I'm sure if that was all I'm sure if you could buy it for that, one of those edgelord meme smiths would definitely buy it.
Well, Elon started a trend. You can't tell me Bezos isn't going to try to buy like. He probably doesn't even know what websites are. Like he probably knows Amazon.
Yeah, Bezos. I mean, how are you that rich and you run Amazon and you're that? I mean, he makes rocket ships, but they're fucking boring.
They're like
How does he make an uninteresting rocket ship? I mean, you should be cool if you are a billionaire making rocket ships. I mean, you should be something that somebody cares about, but nobody cares. Everybody's like, "Hey, look, Elon."
Are those Bezos plants blowing up? That'd be a good thing to look into.
The plant?
Bezos starts buying all the tater factories.
Oh yeah, man. So if y'all hadn't seen, if you're still with us this far in the episode, all these food production plants are blowing up. I mean, there's been like 20 in the last month and a couple of dozen over the last couple of years. It's happening in the UK too. A plane crashed into one. It was like cyber attack that caused the fire. There's a bunch of fires. Like in the UK, a big sausage factory burned down. Sorry, Tim, I know that.
Anything from him. There was one person said that one of the links between some of them is they thought it was the impossible stuff because they said the impossible stuff combusts. I don't know if that's true or not.
Interesting.
But the reason that made sense to me is you ever had a compost heap? Mm-hmm. You ever felt that
Shit gets hot in the sun, yeah.
All those oils and all that stuff, those dead plants start condensing. I'm wondering, because all those impossible things is like really textured layers of oil that they've made feel like meat, and I'm just wondering.
Is it soybean oil?
It's not like some kind of weird Iron Man 3 situation where the burgers blow up under the right conditions.
Oh, geez. Well, I don't think that caused a plane to crash into the one, but that may be contributing to some of it. I guess the pilot could have eaten one of those Impossibles.
Blew up.
And yeah, and then I don't know, maybe he had a heart attack from all the fat in it because there's more fat in it than there is from a meat Whopper, the Impossible Whopper. But yeah, I don't know. That may have something to do with it. Well, you were talking about Elon buying, buying Twitter. So that's kind of big news that I wanted to get into with Mr. Wilson. And he made an offer. It was accepted. Now, the deal's not done yet, but a lot of weird changes have been going on at Twitter. And if you don't know what Twitter is, I explained on the last episode why it's important. It's because it's where the journalists communicate. It's where the news cycles get set. It's where the stuff that you're going to see on the nightly news. It's what goes through Twitter during the day.
I heard it described as like if you were looking at modern websites taking the place of things. Facebook, this isn't me, it's somebody else saying this, that Facebook has essentially become like the phone book. Like people only have Facebook so they can look up their businesses and stuff now, people don't really post that much, but you have to have businesses on Facebook.
Yeah.
And it's like LinkedIn is where people go get hired. So all these different things are replacing little sections of things that we had. And what was the one that we were just talking about?
We're talking about Twitter.
Twitter is essentially replacing your newspaper. Like whereas Facebook,
yeah, more or less, yeah.
Twitter is your newspaper.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, I'm a news junkie, and when I didn't have when I quit reading newspapers was really when you started being able to get news online regularly. And I just went into the computer and then eventually on my phone. And you think about how long it takes you to read the newspaper. Probably takes, if you can just sit down and read a newspaper for a half hour, you can usually get through, a local newspaper, and something like New York Times is going to take you longer than that. You're not going to probably get through the whole thing on it. You're just going to find the things that's interesting, like scrolling through on your news feed, just like you scroll through that newspaper. And, the classifieds made their way onto Facebook too, because if you look in the newspaper classifieds, they're still about as many ads as there used to be when we were kids, but the same ads stay up there all the time because nobody's really buying stuff out of the newspaper classifieds anymore as much. Everybody's gone to Facebook, and people have gone away from Craigslist too, because there's so many scammers and spam on Craigslist. Everybody went to Facebook.
It's just like, I think it went you know what killed Craigslist? I swear to God, this is what killed Craigslist.
The backpage trafficking.
No, what killed Craigslist is when they got rid of casual encounters.
Oh, okay.
I swear to God, that's what did it.
I didn't know they got rid of that.
Yeah, it's been gone. Well, I guess it was like hot button because like it was the only place you could still meet up anonymously. Which I mean, like,
I saw you I saw you in the grocery store picking up melons.
Oh, that's what was that called?
Missed
something.
I don't know. What was the one you were calling? Casual Encounters.
Casual Encounters.
That was where people just hooked up.
It was just like mail something.
Oh yeah.
Looking for this, and then
started using it for prostitution. Basically, it became like Backpage.
Well, it paved the way for Grindr and a lot of those apps. Is what it did. But one of the issues for it is what we would do because we're sick mofos. Is we got a kick out of seeing who was on there, so we would just go through and scroll it and be like, "Oh, let's see who this guy." Because it would show you who had pictures, right?
Yeah.
And it's always something great, because it's people who are trying to have sex with strangers they've never seen before. And
I bet you chat rouletted a lot back in the day, Tim.
And then, oh god, and so. I think that's what kind of created all those like Grindr apps and stuff, because instead of humiliating yourself like I want to hook up tonight and then having to put it out there for everybody to laugh at because everybody's laughing at people, now you go on Grindr. I'm not going to make a Grindr app I'm not going to download an app or Grindr so I can laugh at people.
Yeah, it's too much trouble.
I might see something a lot. I think there's other ones that aren't just specifically gay, like Whisper and stuff, but I only know those because I've been watching a lot of.
Well, there's Tinder, the hookup app, that everybody uses.
Tinder. I've heard of something called Hinge, but if I'm being honest, the middle-aged guy is just listening to what people are saying at the tables while he's playing these bars. I don't know what they are, right. But I hear words, and I just memorize them and pretend like I'm one of you.
But Grindr just stuck with you there, didn't it?
Well, I think Grindr's been around
Has it?
one of the longest as was because it was blatantly casual.
Oh, I figured it was named after Tinder. No, I figured Tinder came first, and then Grindr was like the gay version.
We can look that up and figure it out.
I don't care enough to look
But
it
like,
up.
people will actually date from Tinder.
Yeah.
The difference. Whereas Grindr, it's specifically understood that it's like a hookup app.
Okay. Well, that's
According to my Dads Against Predator research, I don't have 3 accounts. Separate phones.
that's what you keep all those burners for. Now we know.
Now we stack of iPhones.
Well, Elon did make that offer on Twitter. You've had lots of weird things happening, though. After that, you saw some accounts that were temporarily suspended came back. You saw a lot of people saying their follower counts were doing weird things. You had, I think, the Babylon Bee came back. I think Tucker Carlson was put back on there. Elon is saying, I don't know, a lot of people don't know how to think about it. I don't know how to think about it just yet. Elon says something to the effect of, if you're doing it just right, then the most extreme 10% on the left and the right are going to be unhappy. And, he may be right about that. But
He is right because the extremes. What is it? I think it was your dude Tim Pool even pointed out. Everything I say about stuff like it's old, by the way, because I've just been under a rock for a while. He was talking about the what is it? The U, where the far right and the far left at some point the only reason they don't touch is because they don't let go of their label.
yeah.
Like they're mad about different stuff. Like a lot of my far lefty people that I'm still associated with, if you took away their extreme hate for the KKK, they're basically a far righter. Like
Yeah.
they just have this whole it's almost like they have like Southern guilt for being associated with it at some point, and so they overcorrect because of the racism thing. They go all the way to the left
Yeah.
instead. When it's like you could just stay where you're at and just not be a racist. Nobody's calling you that. And you're projecting hardcore.
Right.
All of you.
Well,
Posts.
if you go to the left or to the right far enough, you end up with concentration camps and,
Either way. Either way, they're locking people up. It's either we're locking people up for being too square and conservative, or we're going to lock you up for being too queer. And either side is very capable of atrocities. And that's why I just can't jump the fence and go with one side.
Same. Well, that's Elon says he's going to try to play it right down the middle. And I saw a quote from Andrew Torba of Gab. He said that, basically any organization that's not right wing eventually becomes left wing, and I think he meant that differently than how I'm processing it. But yeah, the conservatives are basically rooted in the present moment or the past, and we're trying to maintain that. Whereas what you consider liberals or progressives are moving forward in their own manner, so they think that the past is something that needs to be improved on. So, unless you are specifically trying to keep things the way they are, then you're always going to be trying to improve on them, and I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. But I think he was trying to apply that to, left and right politics, and I don't know that it necessally works that way.
Twitter though, so it's a very political site, so I guess you kind of have to consider that with Twitter.
That's true.
I think politics gets sucked into things too easily.
Well, it's like suddenly it became. I'm glad to see this not like the whole culture like it was there. Like everybody was. While we were locked down, everybody was bored and everybody was like following politics that had never done it before. And a lot of people who didn't know how to read news stories were sending me stuff just like, oh my God, read this headline. Like, then they didn't even read the rest of the thing. Like, what did you read down to the bottom of it? Like, it actually says that, what the headline says is not actually what it means.
It's an epidemic of old news too.
Yeah.
Click and I'd be like, that's from 2017.
Yeah. Especially a lot of people, they were just discovering like conspiracy stuff, and a lot of that old stuff was going around, like which I guess is good, but a lot of people were thinking that these things were happening now, or they'd get an article from like 2000, like you said, like 2017, that would, if that headline were right in the middle of the pandemic or something, it might be something that were more shocking, but for that time it really wasn't a big deal, or it already passed and nothing happened of it or whatever. But yeah, you did see a lot of that. But I guess it's I don't know that it's good that more people are getting engaged or not. I always said
The supply of information without the ability to discern it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's a big. I think heck, I might be a big problem with that too. I mean, I suck in information like a straw,
Yeah.
and maybe I'm not processing it correctly.
Yeah, you never can know. To me, it feels like I don't know. There's a lot of information out there, and it's like no matter what you believe, you can find information to back that up. So it's kind of like rather than having more information actually helping us come to a conclusion, it almost just justifies people who feel one way or another have a justification to feel that way because they could find somebody who agrees with them in some study to back up what they feel about it.
Mm-hmm. Well, you saw, or after Elon bought Twitter, the lefties started using Republican talking points for why he shouldn't buy Twitter, about how there'll be censorship for their side and all this stuff.
It's like, so you're basically admitting that Twitter had the ability and did do that before, and now you're worried that you won't be able to do that now, and maybe that even Twitter will do that to you. So yeah, that's what you're getting from the CEO, or not CEO, but like the head lawyer of Twitter. You're getting it from software engineers, and they're saying, now we're not going to be able to do this and this and this if Elon does this. And we're like, well, then that means you were doing that. If we have to worry about Elon doing that, that means you're saying that you had the ability to do that. And now you're worried that it's going to be turned on you. And it sounds like maybe they also are worried that people are going to find out some of the things that they were doing with the code of that thing. But who knows? I mean, it's hard to say whether Elon is, on our side or not. He's said a lot of things that may make me iffy on him. Like you've mentioned before, the whole flip-flopping on AI thing, the whole brain chip thing, and he's professed support for some World Economic Forum policies like the universal basic income and things like that. And I find that to just be a way to basically enslave all of humanity. If we're all dependent on the banks of the world for our basic income, then all they have to do is turn that off, and then what do we do?
Well, that's what you're getting with your crypto, though.
Yeah.
I think that's what the end game of crypto is. I think how you say this? You ever like a villain in a movie?
Mm-hmm.
Where it's like, it's like that's the villain, but you like him. I think that's why people get so hung up on persons, like actual real persons. Because it's like, I actually like Elon as far as just being the character that he is, but also will admit that I usually like the bad guy in the movie more because it's more interesting. So it's not like I'm saying I think Elon is 100% bad. I'm just saying I think you can like not good people, if that makes sense. It was like when they were I'm trying to think of a good example. It's like,
I got to show you this Elon Musk tweet.
In case you need to lose a boner. Well, he does just look just exactly like that, doesn't he?
Bill Gates looks just like the pregnant man emoji.
Pregnant man emoji.
Sorry to interject that.
Somebody not put the Arnold Schwarzenegger movie next to it yet? Mr. Mom.
Junior.
That's what it is. Arnold Schwarzenegger was actually the first man to pop out a baby. I'm gonna start a conspiracy that was actually live. That was real footage of what happened. We've already seen the real trans.
Arnold Schwarzenegger was really a trans man, and that's how Junior was made. Well, in case you need to lose a boner fast, folks, there you go. Check out.
Imagine Bill Gates being pregnant.
Pregnant Bill Gates, yeah. But I think we'll leave it there for tonight. I think we'll just have to keep watching the ongoing Twitter saga and see how that goes and see what happens with it.
Before we go, because Elon can't be a president. Could he be vice though?
No, he couldn't.
Because can you run for office if you're not? Because
you can run for some offices if you're a citizen, but you just can't run for president or vice president.
So Elon's gonna be Nashville's mayor or governor at some point. I'm saying
Austin, maybe.
Shapiro's already there.
Yeah.
You think he'll stay in Austin?
I don't know. He's moving a lot of stuff down there.
Is he? Oh, yeah. I'm just saying that maybe he's a villain. Maybe he's only 3/4 villain. I'm just saying at least he's interesting. Mm-hmm. That's all I'm saying.
I find him to be either a chaotic neutral or a neutral evil. I don't know which.
I'm gonna call him a high functioning, high IQ narcissist. because he has to be seen all the time, and I think that's what this Twitter thing's ultimately all about. I think it's one of the biggest peacocking moves you could ever make. And
well, he says he's going to save free speech.
maybe
We'll see how that goes.
Maybe he will. Maybe he does. I'm just suggesting that maybe the hero doesn't always do it for the best reasons. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, for
sometimes
sure.
the hero just likes mad tail. You know,
For sure.
And sometimes the hero likes a lot of money. That's all I'm suggesting. Is
Well, the picture I showed you of Elon the last episode in the cowboy hat and the aviators on stage going, woo! That's a guy who's looking for some tail. No, I don't know. But yeah, he's that's Elon. He's doing his thing. We'll see what happens with it, and we will be back in touch with Lemichael Wilson. Thank you to him for joining us again. Sorry that it didn't work out for anybody who was hoping to check that out, and sorry it didn't work out for Mr. Wilson, but we will do a pre-recorded stream so we don't run into all these crazy problems trying to send our images on a shoestring budget back and forth across the state. But we will see you this Sunday.
shoestring, zip tie.
Yeah, zip tie. Yeah, we're duct tape budget. Well, we'll see you this Sunday at 10 p.m. And appreciate you joining us. Like, share, subscribe, and do all that good stuff. Comment on the videos. And hey, milestone, we reached 10,000 views on the channel. So I thought that was pretty cool. Actually, I think we're probably at 11,000 now. Our Feral People videos series have been blowing up, getting a lot of views over the last few days. So check those out if you hadn't seen them, and if you have, well, tell us what you thought about it at theironmountainhour@gmail.com. Hey, we're gonna get out of here. We'll see you on Sunday.
Boink.